Hey, it's Ryan Gillard here at Real Broker, your Calgary Realtor, and today I'm about 10 kilometers east of Calgary in the town of Chestermere. Now, if you know Alberta, we're fairly landlocked without much water, but Chestermere is one of the rare lake communities in Alberta, and in this video I'll take you on a tour of Chestermere, give you all the pros and cons and what it's like to live in this neighborhood. So this is a video that you're not going to want to miss. And first things first, I'll just show you on the map whereabouts Chestermere is located. Now, it is its own separate town, but these days it's so close to Calgary, it's only about 20 kilometers from the city center to Chestermere, which is about the same distance as going from the downtown part of Calgary to the deep north or south ends of the city. So it's close enough where I feel it's more like a neighborhood of the city, but it is its own separate town. And on the map here, you can see how close it is. So right now I'm downtown Calgary, right over here. And Chestermere is the section right over here. And from the edge of Calgary, right about here, to Chestermere is only 10 kilometers. And you can get there very quickly. And it could be ideal for someone that wants the lake life, a bit more quieter, family-friendly. But you also have easy access to Calgary. And again, it only takes about half an hour to get from the city center to the downtown. So a very convenient location. And the next major benefit, which is obvious, is that it's a lake community. And I emphasize this because in southern Alberta, around the Calgary area, there's hardly any lakes. There are some rivers around here, but not many lakes at all. So Chestermere is in high demand. It's one of the bigger lakes in the southern Alberta area, and with great proximity to Calgary. And with our summers here, it's been smoking hot ever since July, over plus 30 almost for a month straight. So it's perfect beach boating weather. So if you go to Chestermere, it can be quite lively during the summertime. You'll see people on the beaches, swimming, sunbathing, fishing, water skiing, tubing, all sorts of different things like that. So it can be quite lively, and again, a great location close to Calgary. Now, before I get too far into this, if you're watching this from somewhere else in Canada, you're not that familiar with the Calgary or Chestermere areas, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd love to help you out. Any questions at all, feel free to contact me. And next up, I find Chestermere to be quite scenic. So obviously we have the lake, there's homes that are backing onto the lake, but throughout the town, there are other parts of it where there are homes backing onto different water features, and there are lots of pathways and parks throughout Chestermere. There's even a giant canal that kind of flows into the lake, and you can take that canal all the way to Calgary, I believe. So there's plenty of pathways for walking, dog walking, cycling, skateboarding, and stuff like that. And I would say that Calgary is maybe half foothills, half prairies, but Chestermere is just 100% prairies. And depending on what time of the year that you come here, you can see the canola fields in full bloom. That's like the bright yellow wheat type fields, and you'll see horses and cows. So I think it can be very scenic in the summertime especially. And next up, I just got my bullet points here. I took some notes from ChatGPT and I'll compare it to what I think. So next up is community feel. So it's a tight-knit community with friendly neighbors and a welcoming atmosphere. Definitely, it's more of a smaller town vibe compared to Calgary. You will know more of your neighbors and you'll meet people that you know going to the stores and stuff like that. So more of just a smaller town vibe compared to Calgary. Next point, it's very family friendly. So good schools, good park, and a safe neighborhood for kids to play in. Good place to raise a family. I would definitely agree with all of that. You can tell, people always ask me, what are the best family-friendly neighborhoods in Calgary and the surrounding areas? You can tell just by driving around. So when you're in Chestermere, when you're driving, you'll see kids on the streets playing like street hockey on their bikes. They're on different parks, on the beach and stuff like that. So it is a very family-friendly neighborhood. Next up, low crime rates. So if you're curious, I grew up in Strathmore, just to the east of Chestermere. And so I've been to Chestermere a million times. I've never had any issues whatsoever in Chestermere with crime. So it's definitely a very friendly and safe place. Next point, clean environment. I would say everything in Calgary and the surrounding areas is very clean. I think Calgary's been voted as the cleanest city in the world. Not sure how they determined that, but Chestermere is right up there along with Calgary. Very, very safe and clean environment. And next up is modern amenities, availability of modern amenities, services, including shopping, dining, and healthcare facilities. I would say this is correct. You don't have to leave Chestermere for much. It has almost all the shopping outlets that you require in the town. Now, mind you, they're kind of like the typical big franchise stores and stuff like that, but they're all there. The one maybe a bit of a gripe, I don't believe there's a hospital in Chestermere. You'd have to go to Calgary for that. But again, to go from Chestermere to the hospital in Calgary would be very quick. There's the Peter Lougheed in the northeast, might take you, 15 minutes to get there. And there's the South Health Campus, which is further away, but you can drive on the ring road going 120 and probably be there in the same amount of time. So that's not a huge concern. for me anyway. And I would also like to mention that at the east edge of Calgary, there's a brand new area called Belvedere, and there's a huge shopping complex that's built there now with like a Costco, Walmart, and probably like 100 other different stores. And that's just maybe a 10-minute commute from Chestermere to get to that shopping center. So there's no shortage of shopping options if you live in Chestermere. And next up is the growing economy, economic growth and job opportunities in various sectors. Now, I do believe this. Chestermere is growing rapidly. It's always under construction, it seems like. If you go back to the year 2000, the population was probably 4,000 people, and nowadays it's pushing 25,000 people. So it has grown substantially, and lots of jobs being created in the process. And I think this will continue. I think that Calgary and Chestermere in the next 20 years will be connected. Both cities are growing so rapidly, and again, that is creating lots of jobs and a good economy. Next point is spacious living, larger homes and properties compared to Calgary. There are lots of big properties in Chestermere, lots with triple garages. The one thing I will mention though is that I find that Chestermere has a lot of very unique properties, especially the older parts of the town backing onto the lake. They're all unique designs. Like there was no codes back then, it seems like. The newer parts of Chestermere, just like Calgary, where they're all kind of like the cookie cutter designs. But the old part, definitely very unique homes. And the last point, and I already touched on this, is the quality of life. High quality of life with a balance of work, leisure, and family time. I would agree with that totally. And next up, let's talk about some of the negative aspects of living in Chestermere. So I got my notes here again. And the first point here is commuting. Heavy traffic during peak hours for those commuting to Calgary. And I would say that's true. Especially leaving Calgary to go to Chestermere. If you're downtown, getting over the river or getting out of the downtown area can be a bit annoying, but it's still not a terrible commute. The longest it's taken me to get to Chestermere is maybe 30, 40 minutes if there's some bad traffic or an accident or something like that. Not a terrible commute, but it still can be a bit annoying. And one thing I would point out though is if you're living on the east side of the Chestermere Lake, you will have traffic noise from the Trans-Canada Highway, so that can be a bit of a negative as well. And point number 2 is limited public transit. Lack of extensive public transportation options. So there's no train stop in Chestermere that goes to Calgary. I believe there is a bus that goes to Calgary twice a day. I think it's an extension of the Max Purple line. But if you are living here, you'd probably want to have a car, is my recommendation. And point number 3 is property taxes. Higher property taxes compared to some nearby areas. I find that Chestermere property taxes are comparable to Calgary, maybe slightly less, but it wouldn't be a huge difference in my opinion. Maybe it's more compared to places like Strathmore maybe, but I would say they're comparable to other areas in the Calgary area. Point number 4, winter weather. Harsh winters with cold temperatures and significant snowfall. I find the prairies can be very bleak in the wintertime. But that's Alberta. That's going to be the same everywhere in the province. Point number 5, cost of living. So higher cost of living, particularly for housing. I will get into this. I'll go over the market stats with you shortly. But Chestermere, for single family homes, the average price is actually higher than Calgary. But for duplexes, townhouses, and condos, it's actually less than Calgary. So you have to look at this and analyze it in a bit more detail. Point number 6, limited nightlife. It's a small town. There's not that much for nightlife options. Like there's a Boston Pizza lounge and stuff like that, but it's limited. But again, it's a small town. You can't expect to have like a very lively nightlife. And point number 7, entertainment options, limited entertainment and cultural activities. You'd probably have to go to Calgary for a lot of that sort of thing. But again, it's only a 20-minute commute from Chestermere to Calgary. It's not a huge deal. Point number 8, infrastructure development. Ongoing construction and development projects can be disruptive. Chestermere and Calgary are both always under construction, so it's kind of annoying, but that's just the way Alberta is at the moment. Everything's growing rapidly, lots of construction everywhere. Chestermere is no different. Point number 9, small town feel. May feel too small or lacking in diversity for some. Now, I don't know if I agree with this. In the year 2000, I bet you Chestermere was like 100% white. Nowadays, it's very diverse. It's changing rapidly. So I don't think that it's lacking in diversity. I don't agree with this point. And point number 10 is limited shopping options. So now, I don't agree with this. Most shopping options are available in Chestermere. And I mentioned earlier the Belvedere Shopping Center at East Hills. That's like a 10-minute drive from Chestermere, and it has pretty much everything that you could possibly think of in that shopping center. Point number 11, Dependence on Calgary for major services and employment opportunities. Yeah, I would probably agree with that. I look at it as a neighborhood of Calgary, so if you look at it that way, it's not a big deal. Point number 12, growth pressure. Rapid growth can put pressure on local infrastructure and resources. Again, I mentioned this earlier, Chestermere is growing rapidly, lots of construction, and can be annoying for sure, but that's just the way Alberta is. And the last point here, lack of higher education. So I don't believe there's a college or a university in Chestermere, but again, I look as a neighborhood of Calgary, and you'd have to go to the U of C, SAIT, or Mount Royal, which may be 20-30 minute drive to get to those schools. And next up, I'm just going to briefly compare the market stats of Chestermere to Calgary. Calgary's here on the left-hand side of the screen, and Chestermere is over here. So the total residential price in Chestermere is actually more expensive than in Calgary. So the total residential price is the average of detached homes, duplexes, townhouses, and condos. And that number is $706,300 in Chestermere to $606,700 in Calgary. That's a bit deceiving because if you look at the duplex sector, townhouses, and condos, they are all cheaper in Chestermere than in Calgary. So you got $585 for a duplex versus $687 in Calgary. You've got $360 for a townhouse versus $460 in Calgary, and about $245 to $346 for condos. So if you look at it that way, it's cheaper in Chestermere, but for detached homes, that's the difference. $808,500 for a single-family home in Chestermere versus $767,800 in Calgary. I think the difference here, what makes this price more expensive, is there are a lot of homes in Chestermere that are backing onto the lake, and they can be quite pricey. Very high-end homes. So you have a higher percentage of detached homes in Chestermere versus in Calgary, and that could be skewing the price for single-family homes up. And I'll just give you a quick breakdown of what the property benchmark is. So I'm just going to zoom down here to the end of the page here. So here is the benchmark properties. And the benchmark property is just the most common, it's kind of like the average, the most common property that you'll see. So for 1 stories, bungalows in Chestermere, quite big, 1,474 square feet, built in 2001. You'll find that Chestermere, everything is kind of 2000 and up. It was very small in the year 2000 compared to how it is today. So everything is fairly new in Chestermere. 2 beds above grade, built in 2001. Below ground bedrooms 2. So 2 up, 2 down, 3 full bathrooms. Average price $722,900 for a bungalow. And that's quite big. 1,474 square feet is huge for a bungalow. And looking at 2 stories, roughly 2,200 square feet, 3 beds built in 2007. 3 beds up, 1 down, 3 full bathrooms, 1 half bathroom, and average price $823,500. And they make up about 56% of all the properties in Chestermere are 2 stories, and the 1 story is about 10%. So 10% bungalows, 56% 2 stories. And if we look at semi-detached, so duplexes, not that many in Chester, but there are some. They make up about 9% of the total market. 1,526 square feet, 3 bedrooms built in 2012, 2 full bathrooms, 1 half bath, average price $585. For townhouses, 1,246 square feet, 3 beds built in 2012. Full baths are 2, 1 half bath, average price $360, and they make up about 14% of the market. And lastly, the smallest sector of Chestermere, there's not that many condos here, but there are some in a few pockets. And this is growing as the city grows towards Calgary. There's a lot more condos that are being developed at the moment. Still under construction though. 849 square feet, 2 bedrooms, built in 2012 and newer. 1 full bath, average price $245,400, which is actually quite attractive in that price range. And again, they make up about 5% of the total market. All right, we're finished, and I think you might like Chestermere if you like the close proximity to Calgary, as well as having all of the amenities with the lake and being in a smaller town community. Could be the right choice for you. Now, if you are watching this video and you could use some help buying, selling, or relocating, give me a call, shoot me a text, send me an email. I'd love to help you out. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.